Hello and welcome to our program Where God Weeps. Today we're going to be talking about Turkey, a country with over 70 million inhabitants, but of which only 150,000 are Christians. Turkey is undergoing a particular political upheaval. On one side, an Islamic government, and on the other side, an army dedicated to the secular state. To know a little bit more about the situation of Turkey and Christians in Turkey, let's watch now a short documentary.
Istanbul, a city between two continents, for centuries the symbol of Muslim power threatening Christian Europe. Today, Turkey is a military ally of the West and a NATO member. Gateway to the East or Europe's final outpost, Turkey has to decide what it'll be. The village is an example of Catholics living in peace with their Muslim neighbors, but the Roman Catholic bishop says all is not well for Catholics in Turkey.
Nous avons la liberté de culte et à l'intérieur de l'Église catholique, nous pouvons nous organiser, faire la catéchèse, enfin tout ce que nous avons à faire. Nous, surtout les catholiques latins, un grand problème des propriétés, des immeubles qui ne sont pas reconnus.
In fact, most of the historical Catholic properties are no longer in the Church's hands. Most were confiscated, and even if the Church continues using some, it is a concession the state makes on their behalf, rather than it being a right they have.
Non è riconosciuto nessun vescovo, nessun sacerdote. Noi siamo degli abusivi. Ecco, capito? Quindi questo del riconoscimento giuridico delle comunità religiose deve essere risolto. Questo è il problema fondamentale.
Conversions to Christianity are another delicate issue. They're not prohibited, but converts have to be over 18 years of age and prove that they're changing religion of their own free will.
Sicuramente se si è convertiti non si finisce in prigione e non si viene lapidati. Penso che questo già sia una grande cosa.
Though there are no anti-proselytism laws in place, Christians have to be careful not to actively promote conversions. One example is the distribution of Bibles. To avoid the impression of aggressive recruiting, recipients are asked to sign a request. One of Turkey's Christian minorities still uses the old name of the city, Constantinople, a church with a rich liturgical tradition, the mother of many churches. Most of its members are Greek by language and culture. Clergy members still come from the neighboring country and rarely speak Turkish. Their numbers dropped dramatically when in 1922, hundreds of thousands were exchanged for Muslims who came to Turkey from Greece. Now there are only 2,000 in Istanbul. They are the Greek Orthodox Church. The Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew I may lead a tiny community in Turkey, but his authority is recognized by 300 million Orthodox around the world. Today, Catholics and Greeks get along very well.
Il y a des mariages mixtes, il y a donc les funérailles, les baptêmes et tout ça, les familles se connaissent et se fréquentent les unes les autres. Et puis bien sûr, le patriarcat a beaucoup de célébrations, enfin moi je vais quelquefois, pas à toutes parce qu'il y en a vraiment beaucoup.
What now seems normal is in fact remarkable. The religious rupture between the East and the West lasted for 9 centuries. Only in 1969, an embrace between Pope Paul VI and Patriarch Athenagoras opened a new era for ecumenism. The main obstacle to reunification is perhaps not dogma, but history.
Who comes first? Who has authority where? And unfortunately, it's a human problem. And it continues to be the main obstacle to church unity.
In attempts to mend the split, popes have visited Istanbul and patriarchs have traveled to Rome. Pope Benedict, for whom ecumenism is a priority, accepted to visit Turkey in response to an invitation by Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew. Pope Benedict attended the liturgy on the feast of St. Andrew, patron saint of the Orthodox.
Let us be therefore imitators of our common Lord and Savior, praying and working together for love, unity, and peace to prevail in our churches and in the whole world.
The spirit of friendship so evident during the Pope's visit raises hopes that Orthodox and Catholics will one day again receive communion from the same chalice.
Very slowly.
I think so.
The ecumenical visit was not the only challenge the Pope faced on his trip. Turkey's Muslim majority considered Benedict XVI an enemy. As a cardinal, he made headlines when he suggested Turkey didn't fit into the European Union. As if that were not enough, a few months before going to Turkey, Pope Benedict XVI appeared to have insulted Islam. The Pope was giving a lecture on faith and reason at his former university in Regensburg, Germany. The Pope cited a 14th century Byzantine emperor who'd made an offensive reference to the Prophet Muhammad. The Muslim world took the quotation as an expression of the Pope's own opinion, and the emperor's words were reported in bold script. What the media didn't report were the Pope's words distancing himself from the quote. But the damage was done. Parts of the Islamic world exploded, some with rage, others with contempt. A few days later, in his first public appearance after the speech, the Pope apologized and clarified that he was in no way endorsing the emperor's position.
Sono vivamente rammaricato per le reazioni suscitate da un breve passo del mio discorso nell'Università di Regensburg, ritenuto offensivo per la sensibilità dei credenti musulmani, mentre si trattava di una citazione di un testo medioevale che non esprime in nessun modo il mio pensiero personale.
Benedict's point was that a dialogue of cultures can only take place where there is room for both religion and rationality. He warned against two extremes, a rationality that rejects religion and a religion that rejects rationality. On the eve of the Pope's arrival, the wound was still open.
Bu bakımdan biz zaten bir saygı ve olumlu duygu içerisindeyiz Hristiyanlık inancına karşı. Böyle sözler bizi tabii incitebilir.
Şunun altını bir kere daha çizmek istiyorum. Duygusal kırgınlıklarımız olabilir. Biz insanız. Haklıyız da o konuda. Ama bazen kötü başlangıçlar devamında çok güzel şeyler de getirebilir, biliyorsunuz.
Turkey was the Pope's first Muslim destination, and after the Regensburg incident, he was closely scrutinized. One of the people that spoke out fiercely against the Regensburg speech was the President of Religious Affairs, Turkey's highest Muslim authority.
Le président des affaires religieuses, dès le lendemain, a réagi assez, disons, assez dur contre cette chose-là. Mais je crois qu'il n'avait pas eu le temps de réfléchir et qu'il s'est mis un petit peu en syntonie avec toutes les réactions des musulmans dans le monde en général. Mais dès le lendemain, d'ailleurs, un journaliste ici lui a posé la question, mais est-ce que vous avez lu le texte? Il a répondu non.
The meeting between Ali Bardakoglu and Benedict XVI was frank.
İslam dininin tarihi ve kaynaklarıyla şiddeti içerip teşvik ettiği, İslam'ın yeryüzünde kılıçla yayıldığı, Müslümanların potansiyel şiddet yanlıları olduğu anlayışını ifade eden İslamofobiyanın giderek tırmandığını hep birlikte müşahede etmekteyiz.
The Pope answered in a conciliatory manner.
The best way forward is via authentic dialogue between Christians and Muslims, based on truth and inspired by a sincere wish to know one another better, respecting differences and recognizing what we have in common.
The goodwill on both sides led to an unscheduled visit to the Blue Mosque. The Grand Mufti of Istanbul took the Pope on a tour, which culminated in an invitation to observe a moment of contemplation together. The image of the Pope and the Mufti in prayer struck a chord in Turkey and beyond. The Pope risked not only stepping on religious toes, but also upsetting those who want Turkey in the European Union. So for the first time, the media were set to follow Pope Benedict with the kind of frenzied attention that used to be reserved for the bigger trips of the great voyager Pope, John Paul II. Benedict XVI did not address the topic in public, but Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan asked the Pope for his support in a private meeting. According to Erdogan, the Pope said that he doesn't have a political role, but wishes for Turkey's entry into the EU. His words were not confirmed, but their impact was undeniable. Six out of 10 Turks want to join the European Union, mainly for economic reasons, according to recent polls. But when it comes to Christians, their leaders are unanimous. They all want Turkey to be part of Europe.
İster Türkiye'de, ister diasporada Türkiye'mizin bir an evvel Avrupa'ya birliğine girmesi için hem dua ediyoruz hem çaba harcıyoruz. Nedenine gelince inanıyoruz ki bu ülkemizin yararına olacak, Avrupa Birliği'nin yararına olacak. Daha sonra bizim bazı ülke olarak bazı eksiklerimizin demokrasi yolunda bunların giderileceğine inanıyoruz.
It's going to be a bridge between the Islamic world and Europe.
The Muslim authorities too want Turkey in the EU, but on condition that their religious roots will be respected.
Hristiyanlıktan soyutlanmış bir Batı medeniyeti, Müslümanlıktan soyutlanmış bir İslam medeniyeti düşünemeyiz tabii.
Some say Europe may well come to see Turkey as a catalyst.
Sarà un guaio anche per l'Europa perdere la Turchia, perché è il fronte, diciamo, è il baluardo dell'islamismo fanatico che potrebbe entrare in ciocche con l'Europa. La Turchia è il paese cuscinetto che potrebbe, diciamo, favorire l'intesa tra l'Europa e i paesi musulmani.
But all of this depends on Turkish Islam remaining moderate. Turkey's 70 million Muslims, if put together with the 16 million Muslims already living in the EU, make for numbers that could have a potentially huge impact on Christian Europe. To what extent does religion shape identity? The future may force both Turkey and Europe to find that out.
Today we find ourselves in Rome with Mrs. Antonella Cattani, Vice President of the Anastasis association dedicated to safeguarding cultural heritage. Mrs. Cattani, thank you for being with us here today.
Thank you.
Mrs. Cattani, you have been a number of times to Turkey now. What first drew you to Turkey as a place of Christian heritage, of Christian roots?
Of course, it is the first thing that you can see in Istanbul, for example, is the Christian heritage. The most beautiful things are Christians. And of course, the government never showed them like a Christian heritage, but like a Turkish heritage. And everything what's Christian is a little bit forgotten from their Byzantine times. Byzantine heritage is never shown like Byzantine. And that's the strange country, because it's the beautiful and very attracting and very old and ancient country, but it is a Christian country.
At the time of the fall of the Ottoman Empire, there were millions of Christians living in Turkey, and now there are only 150,000. What happened in this space of 70 to 80 years?
During the Ottoman Empire, Christians were close together with Muslims, Armenian or Catholic or everything, was living together. They were paying taxes and they have free possibility to work and free economic possibilities. In 19th century, the first ideas of nationalism were influencing the government of Turkey, and they were the first genocide to Armenian people. In the first year of 20th century, the second genocide. And of course, it reduced the possibility to live in freedom in this country. And also from a religious point of view, the freedom to practice the faith is very difficult. That's why Greek Orthodox are not so free anymore like in the time of Ottoman Empire. But that's the country is like this.
How is it for a Christian to live today? How do they survive in this present environment?
They learn to survive in secularist style. They have to be first of all Turkish way of thinking, Turkish way of life, Turkish to prove that they have Turkish exam on Turkish way of thinking. It's incredible. It's like a religion. It's like an ideology.
And in fact, Christian symbols have been removed. Even if I understand correctly, Christian bells have been removed or silenced.
Not silenced. A Christian cloister can ring the bells only Sunday morning once. Not 2 times, only once. But they're allowed to for the Mass. But at school, you can have bells because they're remembering but Christian bells. So they have songs or little musics. Everything that remember Christian signs or Christian symbols, they removed it.
Christians seem to be caught between 2 chairs. One is Islamic and the other is the nationalist state, the secular state. Are these chairs, now these 2 poles are in contradiction? You have increasing contradictions between the Islamic government and the army, which is trying to retain. Are Christians ever more squeezed between these 2 forces, or how is it that Christians are now surviving in this new political environment?
They are squeezed because they know very well that Islamic government will be for them just an occasion of recognizing their religion, but they know, like they experience in other countries, that Islamic government can influence their own religion. And from the other side, secularistic government, Turkish ideology is so strong that will cancel. So they have to choose between the 2 things. But I think that the role of European Union is very important, like the Pope said. Because if European Union said that they have to recognize officially with laws minorities, this is the only way to survive.
What happens for a young Christian family now in Turkey? For them, do they see a future? Are they emigrating? Are they staying? How are they living now?
A lot of them are immigrating because they can practice their religion, and they know that from governmental side, juristic side, they have no possibilities. So it's very difficult, but they know that the country will have a future still, because economic point of view is a countries who can have a future. So they don't know what to do. And they try to find a way through the laicity and the secularism. It's the only way, because they are afraid from Islam, they are afraid from Islamic way of government.
But for Muslims, the first is to be a Muslim and then to be a Turk or to be...
You're right. In France, they have the same problem. They are first Muslims and then French. But I think that if we give them a chance to make an Islamic government with democratic rules, with European rules, it is a chance.
What happens if the European Union refuses Turkey's entry? What do you think will happen in Turkey?
It can be for them a big problem and can be some
Will it push them back to extremism or to
I think so.
extreme nationalism?
Exactly. Push them to nationalism for armies, to take in hand all the Turkeys and all the problem to Kurdistan and Kurdish people. We do not forget that Turkey is a multiplicity of identities. Armenian, Catholic, Kurdi, some in a way from Iraq, and all of them, Greek and Jews, everyone make Turkey. And the government needs to learn how to respect them for the unity of Turkey.
Your work there is this idea of saving this Christian cultural heritage.
Yes.
How does this manifest itself? What do you do?
Now we are working on the project Dominican Fathers in Istanbul to create there a center for the Christian history. It will seem strange for countries where it was so long time a Christian country from Byzantine time, but they don't study from Christian point of view the history of the country of Turkey. They study it from Islamic point of view. So we try to recreate and to bring together all the information of old Christian heritage and way of life from the time of Paul until today, because the Dominican Fathers are there since a very, very long time, and they try to survive the identity of Catholic and Christian before. So they are studying, they are still alive, the way to sing of Dominicans, and they have a very big library. But the center is aimed to save all the testimonial opportunities like cultural heritage, books, and people, songs, all cultural heritage we can find.
Is the Turkish government in favor of your work?
Yes and no. Yes, because he's very interested on anthropological point of view. If we present the project like this, they're interested. If we say that it is Christian, they say no. You are not allowed to do it. And so we try to present it more and more anthropological. We are an anthropology of Christianism.
Pope Benedict XVI visited Turkey. What was the effect of his visit? Why was this important?
The visit of Benedict was really important, like a sign to all the Muslim people. I want to talk about Ratisbon and the problems of it, but it was a sign to the Muslims that he went to the Blue Mosque, take the shoes off, and pray together. Our organization bring to Rome the ancient president of Iran, Khatami, and he met the Pope. This Pope is very interested to have direct dialogue with the most important people, Muslim, most important persons who are involved in dialogue. The person can dialogue with him directly. And the sign of Pope who went to the Blue Mosque is so strong, more than words. And for Muslim who was so against him after Ratisbon, Regensburg, it was so nice to see them required
to calm down again.
Calm down again, because he went to the mosque and prayed together. So I think that the sign who gave this Pope is so strong and positive that it will be, from now on, a very good work on cultural dialogue.
Did Christians see effectively a difference before and after the visit of the Pope in Turkey? Could you say there was a discernible difference before and after his visit?
After the visit, it was killed a journalist, Armenian journalist. We can say it for Turkey. But I can say for Muslim world it was very, very important. In Iran it was very appreciate the sign of common praying, and in Egypt also. So Turkey is different. It's not only Islamic countries, and the Pope understood very well.
What's the answer? How do we come out of this puzzle for Christians living in a secular state under an Islamic government? How do they survive? How can we help them?
Well, I can say something and will be realized, but I think if European Union insists to them to recognize the rules, that's the first step for them.
Thank you very much for having been with us here today. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having watched our program Where God Weeps. And if you'd like to know more about the situation of Christians living in Turkey, I would encourage you to look at the contact information at the end of this program. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Where God Weeps.